What's up, everybody? Welcome to the House of Mario, the South Australian Nintendo podcast that is backed by a 120 power star rating. I'm your host, Drew Agnew, and the doors to episode 145 are open. This week on the show, we're talking about the new Pokemon DLC information, Nintendo of America dropping its creators of its ambassador program, and Nintendo's pretty ordinary refund policy. And to join me to talk all about that is my fantastic, my best friend, and most importantly, my co-host, Bryce DeWitt.
Oh, hello, mate.
How we going, man?
That was very nice in comparison to the last couple of weeks.
I can't remember what I called you last week.
Look, I don't even think you had a name for me last week. I had to say, usually you call me your beautiful BLT or something, but now I'm just like some sort of, half ordinary piece of trash.
I got to say, you make a wonderful BLT. You just are oozing with the most delicious juices.
Yep.
Just a wonderful human being in a burger form.
Oh yeah, I got to lose some of the bacon though. You know what I'm saying?
What's that show with the talking? It's like a cartoon with the talking fries and the meatball and that.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
That's the one. So this is an audio-only podcast. So just close your eyes and imagine Bryce is a big hamburger. And what food item would I be?
Well, let's see. They've already got a meatball. They've got French fries, and they've got a thick shake. So if I'm a BLT, that would have to make you a side piece of some kind.
Oh.
But it has to be like greasy. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Maybe like a bowl of wedges or something.
Yeah, I can be a bowl of wedges.
A bowl of seasoned wedges.
Ooh. There's nothing wrong with a bowl of seasoned wedges. I can attest to that.
Covered in pepper because you got darker hair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you got to fit the style a bit more. Somebody who's got too much of a love for pepper, much like me.
Yeah.
You always complain about how much pepper I put on my food.
You put a ridiculous amount of pepper on your food.
Listen, mate. When you've been around my grandfather for as many years as I was, though he left us quite soon, he put pepper on fucking everything, and he put a heap of it on. And he would do it to mine. So I just got used to it. So live with it, I guess.
Yeah.
Got to get used to it, mate.
Yeah. I quite like pepper, but just the amount you put on is just eye-opening. And I don't mind because, we don't necessarily share food. If you're putting that on my half of the pizza or something, I would have words to say, but
I mean, pepper on pizza is a bit of a blasphemy.
It's a bit different, but just as an example, like a share plate or something.
Oh, well, yeah, like if it was a plate of chips and gravy or something.
Yeah.
And
you just you literally get a handful of pepper and just chuck it on.
Yeah. No, I'll Salt Bay it on. I go, that thing, yeah.
Yeah, that is actually...
And then I pat it like I would pat meat. It's all gravy, so it's like...
Yeah, but I really won't be impressed sharing food with you.
All right, yep.
Yeah, so to start off the show, Bryce, obviously there's a lot going on in the world at the moment. The riots in America. You touched on it very, very well last week.
Thank you.
But, since we recorded that podcast, a lot sort of moved on. And
yes.
I think we just need to put it out there again that, we support the Black Lives Matter movement, whether it's here in Australia, America, UK, wherever it's happening. It's happening worldwide now, which is really nice to see. Mm-hmm. And I think one thing that I've learned throughout the week, two of us, we aren't racists. We embrace any person, no matter what color or whatever they are. But one thing I think I've learned is instead of just me saying, "Oh, I'm not racist," I think it's important to really stand up against it rather than just sit there and say, what I'm doing is fine. Mm-hmm. But really try and help echo some of these voices out there and push for what's right in the end, because it's just good versus evil at the end of the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I like to think that the House of Mario, it's a physical place where we can all come together and just embrace one another and not worry about some of these silly things that have.
Don't have to worry about creed or anything.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, a phrase that's thrown around a lot is "we all bleed red," and that's true. We're all human, and it really shouldn't matter where you come from, where you hail from, where your ancestry was. It really doesn't matter. and we absolutely support it. I'm glad that some of the people that are trying to profiteer off of it, people like Jake Paul, who thank God got arrested for looting, because this is supposed to be a movement of equality and change, and not burning down people's shit and stealing things. We're fighting. Well, we're not personally fighting, but everybody over there is fighting for equality between race and whatever it may be. And especially in America, the police force is very tyrannical, and that's not to say that they're just tyrannical against, I guess one race or creed. They're tyrannical against everyone. It's pretty clear, but black people get it very much worse, and that's seen in how the youth is treated and whatever it may be. So
yeah, one thing that really stood out to me was this was a video from back in 2017, so 3 years ago, and basically someone rang up and accused this guy of having a gun in someone else's house. So they called the cops. The cops came. They had machine guns or some very high-powered gun.
M4s, yeah.
Yeah, and basically they called out the guys and they told the male and the female to get on their hands and knees and move, and it ended up just like laying bullets into this innocent man.
Yeah. And he was crawling on the floor. Yeah, I've seen the one you're talking about.
And he was in hysterics, as anyone would be.
Sorry to get grim about it. But
Yeah.
It did happen. And, something similar to George Floyd happened to a white man not that long ago either. In my opinion, like, a lot of this is the problem of people who are considered higher up, so like politicians, whatever it may be. And then you've got people in power like the police. They really need to do some weeding.
Yeah. And like, think about it here in Australia. The cops, they've got guns, but they don't have anywhere near the type of firepower those cops over there have.
No. Aboriginal people still get mistreated here, and that's why we've got, a stand happening here. And I've met a lot of good Aboriginal people, and I've always got along with Aboriginal people. It's just sort of, especially around here, we've got like a little community of them, and I've never made an enemy of them. I've always been friendly and whatever it may be.
Yeah, as you should be. Like, there's no
because
reason not to be.
They're just human. And we're all human, and we shouldn't be judging each other based on the color of our skin. It should be, simply just right to be, equal.
Yeah, and it's something that just seems so basic. I mean, I think
it does.
A lot of good people who aren't exposed to those types of problems or issues just assume aren't there. I know we're pretty sheltered down here. Like, there aren't very many like diverse groups of people down here in the bottom of South Australia.
We still have a bit of diversity in this town, I think. Like,
yeah, but it's nothing like, say,
maybe not not as the same in the city, but we do have groups from the Philippines and then Chinese and Aboriginal and white people. Obviously, we've got some Indian people here too. It's sort of, we're fine. I don't think we have too much of a racial problem here in this community.
I hope not.
Completely honest.
Yeah.
Like you'll hear the old people say the occasional thing or whatever, because that's the sort of the time that we were brought up in, and that eventually that's going to phase out. Like, I don't think you're going to change their mind now, but hopefully it just phases out real soon. Don't worry about it. But,
yeah.
I'm hoping that as time goes on, we're going towards that sort of change, where that sort of racism that's taught by the old fashioned is just completely weeded out as time goes past. And I'm not saying that we have to go kill old people.
Jesus,
God, no. But I think we're working towards a closer future to what we need as time goes on. But I think for the time being, these protests and stuff are necessary to end as much violence as possible now, because obviously it's a huge problem.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's move on to the rest of the show, Bryce. It's before we jump into some things, let's open our drinks. Yep. Bit thirsty. No, we just moved one of your couches, mate. It was
it was hard work.
It was hard work, wasn't it?
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, no, it's actually pretty easy. It's a pretty modular couch.
Yeah, it was a very, very modular couch. It's very easy to move out.
Like, think about my couch here. Like, with those sort of folding doors. It makes it very hard to get on.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's going to be a bitch to get out because it was a bitch to get in.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I know the listeners aren't too interested about our couch moving, so we won't dabble on it too much. But Bryce, what drink do you have there, mate?
All right. So I'm just going to hold it here and I'm going to go like this, right? I'm going to go.
Ooh. I'm getting the ASMR
Now,
experience.
if there are people in the audience that understand that call, it's because it's a Canadian club.
Ooh.
So, what we are going to do is we've had a good relationship with Denmark the past few weeks, as most of you know, and I want to thank them very, very highly because they've been very supportive, and we've loved getting messages from you guys. But now we're going to try and call out somebody else from the charts and see if we get any more responses, just to see if we can get that ball rolling.
So there are no Olympics this year, so this is pretty much the replacement for the Olympics. Just keep that in mind. So Bryce, who are you giving the call out to?
So in honor of this Canadian club that I've got here and I'm going to drink, we're calling it Canada. If you're from Canada and you're listening right now, leave us some reviews. We would like to hear from you, and we'd like to hear about your experience with the show and stuff like that. And this seems to be a really good way of getting in touch with people, really, hadn't it?
Yeah,
because it's really got us in touch with Denmark, and we love you guys now. Like
we love you now. We really do, though. We really do.
Well, hey, like I said, the House of Mario is now situated in Denmark. Thank you for understanding.
It's funny too because like the show obviously it got to number one, it slowly dropped throughout the week, and we went down to like 180. I'm like, all right, that was fun while it lasted. But all of a sudden we went from 180, we went back to number 3 once the next episode came out.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your continued support in Denmark. And,
Absolutely.
And Canada. Let's see if you guys can compete with Denmark over here.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Because I'm just going to pull up our stats now, Bryce. I'm going to see where Canada fits in. They're pretty up there as far as the countries go, just by location. Mm-hmm. So Canada, they're number 7. They're number 7th top country for downloading our show.
Nice.
So we know you're there, Canada. We know you're there.
Yeah.
Let's see what you're really made of.
Yeah, let's hear your voices. Let's do it.
Yeah. So you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, or if you don't use Apple and you don't have an Apple account, it's too hard, you can go to the link in the show notes to our website. You can use a feature over there called Recasts, and you can share a clip from our podcast, share it with your friends, your followers.
You can even just share the podcast in general. Like you don't even have to go as far as that. You could just like go to your Nintendo group on Facebook, as far as we're concerned, and just go, "Oh, listen to this podcast. They called us out this week. We should."
Yeah, exactly what Daniel did. Thank you very much, Daniel.
Exactly. Yeah. What a bro.
Oh,
well done, man.
Honestly, is the man.
Honestly, that's the kind of support that really, really drives us and, kicks up our week an extra notch.
Yeah, absolutely. My week was full of nitrogen.
What?
I don't know. I was thinking of like NOS, like, going faster, but then it went to nitrogen.
Yeah.
I don't want to be full of nitrogen. That's probably not a good thing.
No, that sounds very painful.
All right, All right, Bryce. Let's talk about some video games.
Yeah.
13 minutes in.
Yeah. Video game podcast.
Yeah. So, Bryce, you finally received your copy of Xenoblade in the mail.
Yeah, it took a week.
A week.
Took
actually 7 days to get from.
It took 7 days.
You bought it via Big W online.
Yes.
So that's a bit of a warning if you feel like...
I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
No. Because I still remember like JB Hi-Fi send them out early so that they get there on release day. Big W don't even think of that.
Because I know EB Games don't do that either. It comes in late.
Like no offense, but if somebody gets a game early in their order, then tough shit. In my opinion. Like if somebody gets a game a day early, it's not going to matter. The like when you're talking about leaks and problems with leaks and stuff like that, it's more or less about the people who are getting it weeks early in advance. Like somebody getting a day early in the post, oh boo-hoo.
I don't really know, but I assume like someone like Buddy or Dash or someone who's worked in retail would probably know this. But I assume it because like if say a Nintendo game gets sent out early and it breaks embargoes or whatever, they can pretty much turn around and say, all right, we're not going to stock your retailer anymore. So they'll probably like threaten them with stuff like that.
I mean, yeah, I dare. So
they play it safe and go, okay, we'll just send it on release. So it definitely won't go earlier.
Look, I dare say that is probably the case, but at the same time, there are a lot of retailers that still do that. because the postal service is going to at least take a couple days here. So you could at least send it like 2 days before release date, and I can guarantee that, like, for the most part, I think they kind of just need to be like, that's the other problem as well. My copy come from New South Wales. Why did it come from New South Wales?
That's where their warehouse is, probably.
Yeah, but why can't, like, they get you to enter your postcode and shit on the website anyway. Why can't they just go, all right, nearest store, send it? Kind of just makes more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it probably does, but yeah, I guess it's just how their warehouse and all that distribution goes from.
I guess so. I don't know. It's just confusing to me. I feel like there could be more done anyway. Anyway, this is not a postal podcast.
Big W, pull your thumb out your ass.
I got it. I got it. All right. I got it. Okay. Yeah. Let's just leave it on that.
All right. So how's the game, Bryce?
Okay. So yeah. I've played a few hours, but most of it has actually just been doing all the side quests in Colony 9 before I leave off, and that's been really good because the thing that sucked about Xenoblade before was the tracking was shit. It was not good. There was a lot of side quests in every place, and I just brought myself to the point where I was like, well, I can't be bothered doing that because, at the end of the day, they're side quests, and if I'm losing track of them very easily, then why do I bother? Yeah. Like in Definitive Edition, it is so easy to track side quests and the location of items and people you've got to talk to and stuff like that. It's so easy. Don't have to worry about it at all. So that has been a godsend, and I've been using that opportunity for tracking side quests and stuff like that just to do all the little things that I missed out the first time around. And so I'm just leaving Colony 9 now with a 100% complete Colony 9. So I did that in maybe about 3 hours, maybe 3.5. And then because I got it on a Friday, I had to put it down because I had to work all weekend. So
boo.
Yeah, exactly. But 3.5 hours was enough for me to sort of like give off my first impressions. And that is that Definitive Edition lives to the name. Like, it's the best way to play it. I haven't tried it in undocked. Yep. Because, when I want to look at a pretty game on a TV screen, it's usually on release. So that's what I did. I plugged it straight into the TV. I played it for 3.5 hours and said, cool, all right, I've had my time. I've got to get ready for tomorrow and, ignore it for the rest of the weekend, unfortunately.
Yep.
So, but yeah, no, it functions well. I feel like things are a little bit easier to see now, which makes your crowd control indicators a bit easier, like break, topple, days, etc., which is good. I feel like the graphics upgrades has really brought a new life to the characters and their emotions, especially, which is good because, if you played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you had the season pass or whatever it may be, you know that Shulk and Fiora were in that game as well, and they looked really nice. And I can't say they looked too much different, which is good because it was like a direct, upgrade, and you were like, wow, they look really pretty now. So very much the same thing. Overall, I'm very impressed so far. I can't wait to play more. And I've got a few days to do it now, which is awesome. So I will. But in saying that as well, while I'm playing through this, Monolith, I really hope you're working on an export as well, because it would be so good to have all three of those games on that one console. And X is just an absolutely phenomenal game that was stinted by a console that had bad hardware sales. That game would, with online play and everything up and running and working, would be so good. And it was pretty good on Wii U, but the problem is lack of players.
Yeah.
So to see that game come out and have like its online functionality and everything on the Switch, that would be wicked. And to have all three of those games would just be a dream. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be cool to see it. You'll probably say it. If it comes out, it might come out in a couple of years. They might get their next like brand new game out, and they might have a port in the works, hopefully. Because it would be cool to have it on Switch just to expose it to more people. Well,
I mean, that's why they did, the Switch ports that they have already. The Wii U ports to Switch they have already. So, and I feel like if there's any one of the games that deserves it from the Wii U, it's definitely that one, because it was basically, its world was like the precursor to Breath of the Wild being such an amazing world as it was. huge skybox and what have you. X is an absolute marvel of a game, and it would be nice to see another game like that on Switch. And I know we've got Breath of the Wild 2 coming out and all that stuff, but X is its own thing. So it'd be cool to see that fly around in a giant robot along the land and, attack big monsters and stuff.
Yeah, cool. So Definitive Edition, we talked about like last week from all of the news that this resolution was like cut down pretty much in docked mode and cut down a lot more in handheld mode. What are your thoughts on how it looks like on the TV?
Oh, it looks fine on the TV.
Looks fine.
The only thing I notice a little bit is grass textures do not have very much draw distance.
Right.
So that you will, like, if you are looking close enough, you will see that they are popping in, kind of like Breath of the Wild is very much the same way. And I know that's like a limitation of, building huge maps and stuff like that. Like, I'm completely aware of that, and that's the drawback you have to have on a console the size it is. And, but I feel like it's more noticeable in DE than it probably is in Breath of the Wild, and even probably Xenoblade Chronicles 2. But I think it's all in the sacrifice of the fact that they cut that down a bit because Xenoblade Chronicles 2 had terrible frame rate.
Yeah.
When it come to that, and even worse frame rate handheld. So, you know what? They found ways to compromise around to make sure that the frame rate stays as high as possible, as much as possible, and I can attribute to that. I think that's all right, especially since it's it is sort of like an ATB RPG, like Final Fantasy, the later Final Fantasies, but it needs to still try and keep its frame rate sort of up there. It's not 100% turn based or anything like that. So,
It is a little bit of a shame that it is a Wii game, so it would be nice to see it in like good resolution and all that. I feel like it would have been good if they could hit that, but like even if the world is as big as it is, it is still a Wii game. So I'm a little bit torn on that, but I'm looking forward to getting into it. I haven't got into it yet because I've been working every day, and it's not necessarily a thing I'm gonna just like dive straight into and smash. I'm gonna like play it over time.
It's a Wii game, yes, but it is significantly improved in terms of like graphics and stuff like that. If you want to side by side the cutscenes, you'll see
I've seen that.
A dramatic difference.
It
is very huge. But I mean, that being said, it looks good. But touching on frame rate issues, can I bring up a topic that I've just thought of?
Okay, sure.
So I've never heard of anybody playing Black Sad on Switch until recently. And a good friend of ours, who's a listener of the podcast, Luke, has been posting footage of Black Sad on the Switch. Have you seen his posts?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Holy shit. There is not a Switch game I have seen with worse technical problems.
There's barely a game I've seen with worse technical problems.
Holy crap. Yeah. Like missing textures when somebody punches. Like he put up 3 separate tweets before he completely gave up on the game. The first one was an interactive cutscene, active time cutscene, whatever you want to call it, where somebody punches a board and its texture disappears. Then the next one he posted, the main character goes to reach into his coat. It completely fucks up his tie, does swirls around in circles while he's trying to get a lighter. And then he pulls away his arm. His tie goes back to normal, but then the tie's texture appears in the wall on the background.
Yeah, that's great.
And then the last one he got before the game crashed and he literally couldn't progress any further. It was impossible. It had the main character pull off his hat only to reveal the same hat again and throw it on the bed, and that's when it crashed.
That's my favorite one. That's my favorite one. Just like he takes off his hat, but he just pretty much clones his hat.
What the hell happened? I'm like, why do I still see Black Sad Special Edition on EB Games shelf? I'm like, what's going on? Why is that not sold? Like, is it a bad game or whatever it may be? And then I just found out that the Switch port is just god awful. Holy crap!
Yeah, like Luke, he did say that in a Facebook group, people were saying they had similar problems on PS4. But yeah, he said he was enjoying the story, so I guess there's some merit to the game itself. Just it's
Probably like
completely broken.
That's what I figured it was. It was supposed to be a very story-driven game, and it was supposed to, do that whole Walking Dead thing that I like so much. But holy crap! It was the most riddled technical issue thing I'd ever seen in my life. I'd never seen anything like it. I'm not sure how it got to that.
Yeah. As far as what I've been playing, so this week I jumped into 51 worldwide games.
Clubhouse games, just say Clubhouse.
And yeah, so that's the thing. It's really annoying. So back on the DS, there was Clubhouse games, and it had like pretty much similar games to what are on this. But for some reason, I think it's in Europe and Australia, they changed it to 51 worldwide games, whereas in America, it's still called Clubhouse games, 51 worldwide games. So they just basically got rid of the Clubhouse games for us. I don't know if it's because they were thinking like we don't have clubhouses here or something, like don't necessarily have that American culture or something. I don't quite know.
No.
But I decided to pick it up because my fiancée Chantel, she's been really hard to try and get to play video games. Like a lot of people have been posting stories about, my partner doesn't like video games, but Animal Crossing really got them. So I thought I was going to do the same thing. Say, hey, would you like to play Animal Crossing with me? And she turned around and said, it looks like an educational game for kids. I'm like, oh God. So Animal Crossing didn't work. Mario Kart works sometimes. Like, no, she's just like really hard to sort of get her to enjoy a video game. So I was looking at this. I'm like, well, if this doesn't work, like this is basically just card games, bowling, darts. If that doesn't get her into enjoy sitting down and playing it, I don't think anything will.
No.
So I bought it for $60. $60 is a little bit steep for what it is, but it's not too bad. So basically I spent about 4 hours playing this on Friday night, and we had a really great time, and she really enjoyed it as well. And it's basically broken up into like there's card games, there's like I guess clubhouse games like bowling, darts, was it air hockey, there's toy soccer, toy tanks, there's like all these different sort of games that you might see in Wii Play or something back in the day on the Wii. And so the first thing I did is I went to bowling, because it pretty much looks like Wii Bowling from Wii Sports.
Yep.
And I really do miss just Wii Sports. I think that is just one of the most perfect games just for people to come over and play. So I was hoping this was going to...
Agreed.
I was hoping this was going to fit into that. And I would say it almost does. It's like a very basic version of that bowling. You can still it's still got the spin and everything. It works like the Wiimote. But it doesn't quite work as well as the Wiimote did for doing it. But after like a few tries, I found it really easy to get strikes. It seems like pretty basic just to get it in the right spot. It's not as nuanced as the Wii Sports one is, where you can like move around and do like the really like trick curls and all that fun stuff. You know how like you start showing off like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like go all the way to the left and like pivot all the way to the right and like do this spin which just comes all the way back and smashes into the center. You can't quite do that, or maybe I haven't mastered that just yet. I don't know. So I was a little bit let down by the bowling. It didn't live up to Wii Sports, but it's still fun to play. And if you don't have your Wii or Wii U hooked up, you've already got it on your Switch, so that's really good. You can play it with the touchscreen. I didn't play it with the touchscreen, but if it's in handheld mode, you can just, I guess, flick your finger and do the bowling that way. Mm-hmm. And the other games are really fun as well. So there's toy soccer, which is basically it's not quite foosball. It's not quite like that, but it's like I do remember going to a caravan park and there was like this big dome and like there was this toy soccer, and we had so much fun playing it in real life. So it was cool to actually get to do it in this. So that was a lot of fun. It's just like really, really silly, just like kind of like foosball, kind of like get a goal and that. We had fun doing that. And one thing where she had a lot of fun was the card games, because like one of the big reasons I wanted to get this is just the tutorials for the card games. Like a lot of the games I didn't know how to play, just because I've never like sat down and been exposed to them. So whenever anyone says, hey, you want to play cards, I'm like, I got no idea, type of thing. But this one, it actually it starts off with a bit of a tutorial, there's like dialogue between two toy characters at the start, and they just like do a bit of silly banter, sort of get you into it, and they explain the rules and all of that. And I found that really useful, especially for chess, because chess is another one of those games where I just like never sort of sat down and got into it before. And it kind of takes the fun out of it too. If like someone's sitting there saying, hey, this piece can only move here, and you're sort of like, hey, can I move this piece there? And they go, oh, yeah, it can. It takes the fun out of it, type of thing.
Yep.
But with this, you can put a helper mode on, and when you go put your cursor over your chess piece, it can show where it can move, and like what opposition piece it can eliminate and all of that. So we found that really useful.
Yeah.
And sort of going through it, we sort of had no idea what we were doing, just playing chess. And we actually drew in the end. Came down to a draw. We're like, serious? Like it was like a half an hour chess match. We're just like sort of learning as we're going, like, oh yeah, the pawns can just like move straight ahead, but they can jump diagonally, and that's how they eliminate it. So we sort of like got like a lot better at like just one game. We got a lot better idea how chess works. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. So like I assume if you're like a chess fanatic, I think this would be a good way to go about it and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and a lot of the games I haven't played yet. There's like so many more card games and everything I haven't got into. But one thing that did sort of strike me was there's the card games that you need multiple switches for. Like it doesn't let you play them at all if you don't have multiple switches, mainly because it kind of wrecks the game if you can see the other person's hand. So you can't just have everyone's hand on the TV.
Yeah.
But it does kind of eliminate a lot of the options if you don't have multiple switches.
Yeah, it does.
Because like if like your family comes over and it's like, all right, there's 4 people, let's play, I don't know, poker, whatever's on there. Like not everyone's going to have a Switch. Like if your mum, your dad, your grandma and your grandpa come over, for example, they're not going to have a Switch most likely, but they might very much be interested in playing a card game because it's very basic and they've probably played it like in physical form before. So it's a bit of a shame in that respect. I know there's a sort of a demo on iOS and Android. I don't know if it's only in Japan. I only sort of heard about it. I haven't looked into it myself, but I think you can play like 4 of the games. I think there's like toy cars and you can play like a couple of games just on iOS. I think it just pretty much works as a demo. Mm-hmm. But there sort of needs to be an app that works like Jackbox Party Pack or something where people can get out their phones and they can see their hand on their phone and use that as a controller. Because like using multiple switches, like, I have 2 Switch lights and my Switch. Like, technically I've got like a bit of it sorted out. Mm-hmm. But even then, it's like a lot of work. Like, all right, let's hand these switches out. Like, not many families do that. I know there might be like a dad who's into games, and then like the 3 kids have their Switch lights each, and
it's a very expensive, 51 Clubhouse Games experience.
Yeah, so I guess really, if you've got the one Switch and you're looking to play with your spouse or casual gaming family or whatever it is, you don't have access to 51 games just with the one Switch, which was a little bit unfortunate. But at the end of the night, we sat down. Like there's a game just called Piano, and all you do is play the piano.
Yeah.
And we just got the Joy-Con each. And we shake it, and it does like the maracas and all these drum sounds and that. We're like, how do you play the actual piano? We're pressing all the buttons, and like the piano's on the TV. We're like, how do you play this thing? And I'm like, oh, you dirty bastards. So I get up, I pick up the Switch, and I just like press the touchscreen. And Chantel's just like, you're fucking kidding me. Like we're there for like 5 minutes, just like, how do you play the piano? But yeah, you can't play the piano on the TV.
Well,
unless your TV has a touchscreen, it's not doable.
Can't they just like make curses and you can just go?
Yeah, maybe you can. We just didn't have the intelligence to work it out how to play the TV piano.
You need to increase your intelligence stat.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. I'm trying. So yeah, I think it's worth picking up, especially if you've got a group of people that would like to play that type of thing. Because we had a lot of fun playing it, and if there's some card games and whatever that you don't know, this is a great way to sort of learn it without going online and watching YouTube videos and reading the instruction booklet or whatever comes with these certain games. But there's still a lot of games I haven't played on there yet. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth it. Yep. Maybe a little bit expensive. I think $50 would be 50 Australian would be better for it. But it is what it is. It's not going to go on sale. It's published by Nintendo. So what are you going to do?
Well.
Yeah. Does that interest you at all, Bryce? Or
it's one of those things that I probably won't end up picking up. Mainly because that price tag. I think, it sounds silly to say in some ways, but we have board games and stuff like that if we want to play them. And, if we're looking for a family experience, that's probably the best way to go about it. And everybody knows how to pick up cards or whatever it may be.
Oh, I just said I didn't, so.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah.
For us, it's not really a thing that we'll latch onto quite as hard.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably...
I see around the place it's been getting pretty good reviews too. People seem to be pretty...
I don't think you can really go wrong with it.
No, I would hope Nintendo could manage a collection of card games and
that have already pre-existed. Yeah. So I don't think it's too much of a problem in that regard.
It's all just in the presentation of how they're sort of shown.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Much, yeah.
So cool game. Game of the year maybe. No, I'm joking. I think that's all we've been playing pretty much. Before you move on to news, I just want to point out that there are really great Nintendo eShop sales on at the moment. I think there's over 1,000 games on sale at the moment, which is just ridiculous. And if you try to go down that list, it's going to load forever. Because I did it. I went through them all to add games I might be interested in to my wish list to see if I want to buy them. So if you're interested in some cheap games, I'm going to link a Vooks article in the show notes. If you want to go through, have a real easy way to see games and how much they're priced, and you've got links to go and pre-order them online and all that. Make it really easy. So go and support Vooks, which is an Australian Nintendo outlet, and make it easy for you guys. So Bryce, let's move on to some news.
Okay.
I've got to wait for you.
Woohoo! Yeah! Vika, Vika!
Is that all?
I fight for my friends.
Yahoo!
My body is still.
Wow, Bryce, so we finally got information for Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC.
Oh, finally. Yeah, it was just a trailer, but...
Yeah, it was only a 3-minute trailer. And I was up waiting at 11:30 for the trailer to drop, and was refreshing the Pokemon's YouTube channel, and it just wasn't coming up. So the American part of the Pokemon company, they actually unlisted the trailer, so it wouldn't come up on their channel. Obviously because of what was happening with the rights and everything. I think they decided to not showcase and push information for that on the English side of things because of that, which is fair enough. But it was a bit confusing because they said more information was coming. We're like, okay, so that time come and it just never come.
Yeah.
So maybe in hindsight they could have said, hey, due to what's going on, we don't want to take voices away from Black Lives Matter and that, whatever. But the trailer was still available. You just had to find the link for it. But the Japanese trailer did drop when we sort of expected it to, and they dropped a lot of information on the new Isle of Armor DLC, which I'm really excited for. Bryce, are you excited to jump back into it? Back into Pokemon Shield, or not really? Or?
Well, I mean, I haven't purchased it, so I'm not really sure.
Not sure?
I think I'll wait, to be honest. I'll wait and see what happens and see what the general consensus is, and then, yeah. Because if not, I'll just hold off and just buy the collection when it's actually there.
Like a Game of the Year type of thing? Is that what you're talking about?
No, just like when the Crown Tundra comes out, I'll just buy it then. Then I've got more to play. Because if it's only like 2 hours worth of content, then...
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got a release date finally, and it is coming out in June. No delays. It's coming out on the 17th, which is good. It's only, 10 days away or 9 days away from recording? 8 days away from when the episode actually comes out. And I'm just on Pokemon.com at the moment, and it lists some of the features that are coming with the Isle of Armor DLC. So number one is the Cramomatic. So this is quoted from Pokemon.com. So the dojo on the Isle of Armor houses a unique take on recycling in the form of a device called the Cramomatic. If you feed it 4 items, it will combine them and give you a new item in exchange. You can receive a variety of items, including Pokeballs, PP-ups, and more. Some combinations might produce rare items. So that'll be interesting. It's kind of like it's basically introducing crafting into Pokemon through items.
Yep.
So it depends on what you can sort of craft. If you can craft some cool things like Master Balls and
I dare
some
say,
really useful things, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I dare say it'd be a good way to get held items, and I think a lot of people will actually hold. Well, a lot of people that really want the best out of it will probably hold off for a couple of weeks for people to build a comprehensive list, and then go from there.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. We've got a new tutor move. So completely new tutor moves will also be in the Isle of Armor. You can have your Pokemon learn these moves in exchange for Armorite ore, a substance you can only find in the Isle of Armor through maxed raid battles and other means. So the first move is Burning Jealousy, and Burning Jealousy is a new fire type move that can be taught to a starting a fire type move that can be taught starting with this expansion. When it said starting, I thought it was going to go into like a starter Pokemon.
So the moves are DLC exclusive.
Yes.
God damn it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what I predicted was right then. That's shitty.
I mean, I think like if they don't give you like exclusive things with this DLC, there's no reason to buy it. So I don't really have a problem with that.
You get your exclusive things. You get an exclusive area to explore, a new bit of the story. You get a new Pokemon that you can earn that is tradable if you want, but you can earn it and get it how you want it. You know, you've got more challenges for you to do, more max raids for you to do. What the fuck is the point in hindering the competitive side of Pokemon by making exclusive moves?
Yeah, we'll see how
that's really dumb.
I mean, I'm not too worried because I've bought it, so it's all good.
I know you're not worried, but like I just think what if that's the case, then what's the point of allowing stuff like Pokemon being tradable and whatever? Having anything exclusive that's going to impact competitive side of Pokemon.
I mean, you can get a traded Pokemon with this move.
Yeah, but you've got to send a Pokemon over there. You've got to do that, whatever. I don't know. It just seems like a pain in the ass.
I mean, it's pretty. I think this is a good thing because, like, just having. I don't think exclusive moves are that big a deal. But we'll go on. So there's a Burning Jealousy. There's a Glassy Glide, and Glassy Glide is a new grass type move that can be taught with this expansion. The move has high priority when using grassy terrain, which will work really well with the new hidden ability, which we'll go into later. And this is one of the things that stood out to me the most. So there's a new thing called Max Soup. And Max Soup is a special dish made from rare ingredients you can gather on the Isle of Armor. If a Pokemon with great hidden potential drinks Max Soup, it will become a special Pokemon capable of Gigantamaxing. So I get what this really means. If you just hatch or catch a normal Lapras that has a G-Max form, you'll be able to make a Max Soup, and it will be able to Gigantamax. So
it's a good change, and I think that's awesome. But the only problem is that a lot of the G-Max forms are suboptimal.
A lot of them are, yeah.
Which sucks. Like, you know, you'll hear a lot of competitive Pokemon players say, well, actually, G-Max sucks nuts, so... You know, you're probably not going to want to use them.
Yeah, but this will be the way how you get your Gen 8 starters G-Max form, so Rillaboom, Cinderace, and Inteleon.
Yeah,
you'll be able to get that.
Hopefully they're good.
You do receive a Bulbasaur or a Squirtle and a Squirtle. I'm not sure if you get both or you have to choose. Not quite sure, but that's how you'll get those new G-Max forms as well. So that's sort of the list, and they introduce some new Pokemon as well. So there's Galarian Slowbro, which is now a Psychic Poison type. And instead of the Shelter biting its tail, it's now bit its arm. And I guess the poison from that has gone into its body and made it into a poison type in the Galar region. Mm-hmm. I think this is really cool. He's pretty much become like a Mega Man character. He's got like the gun on his hand, which shoots out poison. It's pretty cool.
I thought it was a little bit strange, though.
How so?
Well, I mean, it could just be how Slowbro and Slowking have their aesthetic. It's like, you know, the shoulder's taking place on its tail, and then it's taking place on its head. The natural evolution to that is going to be it's going to take place on its arm. I don't know. Feels a bit weird to me.
I mean, it's just bit in a different place.
I mean, I think it's a good type combination. I think it's pretty
it's cool.
unique, and that's good.
So it's like I think I read this somewhere that now that with this Pokemon, it makes Psychic the third most combined type with other types as well. So that's pretty cool. A bit of trivia.
Yeah, right. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool, and also with a new Galarian form. So we know the typing of Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres now. Articuno is a psychic flying type. Zapdos is a fighting flying type, and Moltres is a dark flying type. What do you think of these new typings? It's pretty cool that I never really thought about them getting rid of their main types being fire, ice, and electric. A lot of people were talking about getting rid of flying type, but getting rid of flying type for a bird really doesn't make much sense. So I think the new typing is really cool.
Zapdos took a big fat L.
Don't like Zapdos? I think Zapdos looks really cool.
No, I think Zapdos looks very cool. But what I mean is that it took a massive fat L and it's no good.
Why's that?
Well, let's take this as a standard as if they're strong enough for people to keep them in competitive teams and everybody's got one of each on their team. Zapdos isn't going to be picked. No way in hell.
Yeah, but why?
Because it's flying fighting. Your options against that, if you were to put all three of those birds against each options, which one loses out?
I don't know, but
Zapdos.
Like Hawlucha is used like a little bit, like not a whole lot, but like that is like pretty much the only flying fighting type.
Hawlucha didn't also have a equivalent that was psychic flying, or something like that to take it out of the competition. I think like the only thing that this Zapdos can be effective against out of those three is Moltres, but even then it's not super effective. It's the only Pokemon out of those three that doesn't have a super effective advantage against each other.
Yeah, like it's sort of this is sort of the fan fairy sort of starters like we always wanted with psychic, dark, and fighting, just with that different sort of type wheel of how it works. But just with the obviously the flying as the secondary type, it just nullifies,
completely negates it.
Yeah.
Like because I reckon Zapdos is my favorite simply because it's just not overdone. I feel like Moltres and Articuno for me are very, very overdone in terms of design.
I really like them all though, to be honest. I think probably Articuno would be my favorite one.
I think Zapdos is mine because it's very simple. It fits the concept all right. Articuno just looks like Will took Pokemon form, like from the Elite Four.
Oh, yeah.
Like dead on. That's exactly what it looks like. And I think Zapdos is my favorite, but but them having the secondary type of flying, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you're like versing them all together, I guess Zapdos comes out on the bottom because of that. You'll be easily able to use like some probably like even Moltres will be able to use probably Brave Bird or some powerful flying move on it, and it'll probably make pretty easy work of it. But yeah, don't know. I like them all anyway. I think it'll be fun. We don't get them until the second DLC pack, so don't have to worry about them for a little bit.
I'm not sure about Moltres. I think Moltres is probably the worst one off for me.
It's probably my third favorite out of the three too, but I still really like it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And also we got G-Max forms for Blastoise and Venusaur, which we knew before, but we sort of saw more in-game stuff of it, which looked pretty neat.
Yep.
Do you think these guys look pretty cool? I really like how Blastoise is like a big fortress. It's like with cannons out of its back and everything. It's really cool.
I love how they gave Venusaur a bowl cut.
I did, yeah. We're getting a phone call. But
you or me? It's you. Oh, look at that.
Better hang up on it.
Little Mr. Man, he got a phone call.
I did.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Not turning your phone off during a podcast. What are you?
Yeah, I just not very professional. And as well as that, when after the trailer went up, they released Hidden Ability, Grookey, Scorbunny, and Sobble on Pokemon Home.
Okay.
Yeah, which I went and got straight away because I was up anyway, so I went and got them. And I'm currently trying to get a shiny Hidden Ability Grookey, but no luck just yet.
Isn't the best one going to be Scorbunny?
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah, so Score Bunny's going to have ability. I've got the name of the ability just off the top of my head, but
Is it like Protean?
yeah, it's exactly the same. So once you use a move, it will change its type to the same typing as that move. So you'll get the 1.5 stat stab each time, which would be pretty insane. And you can swap your type at will, pretty much, depending on what you predict is going to be coming. So it's going to be an absolute beast. So
It's a very annoying ability. I don't know why they ever invented it.
yeah,
It's stupidly overpowered. I don't understand. I don't understand why they made it. Because with Greninja, it was a real problem, obviously.
Yeah. But apart from that, we got a little bit of information for the next DLC pack as well, the Crown Tundra. And it shows, if you go to Pokemon.com and have a look, it actually shows you like some of the mechanics for sort of exploring the raid dens. How you can split up in different directions and sort of choose your legendaries. And this is how you're going to be getting all the legendary Pokemon. It shows all the main Pokemon throughout the series, so Mewtwo and the birds. Oh, not the birds. Was it Mewtwo, Groudon, Kyogre, Ho-Oh, Lugia, all of the main ones. So that's how you'll be getting them. I'm not sure if you'll be getting like some of the other ones, like Latios, Latias, and the non-main legendaries as such through that way. But I'm kind of hoping that some of the other legendary Pokemon are not through raids, just introduced in a bit more interesting way. We see that the 3 Reggies are introduced, like you just actually go and do the puzzles and that, like you would in Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald.
Yeah, that's because they got 2 new Reggie forms too.
Yeah. But I hope some other legendary Pokemon are just like not in raids, because while it's good that raids are used to introduce some of these Pokemon, it is a bit more of a boring way to do it rather than going and finding them. But looking forward to it nevertheless. And in that DLC pack, there's also a Galarian Star Tournament. So you team up with other characters in the Galar region and you do double battles. So this will be cool. And it's kind of like a way of introducing VGC into the actual game. So actually doing that sort of style tournament, which would be pretty cool. Maybe help you introduce it and maybe get some like cool end game into the game, add to the end game rather than just the battle tower and all that.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Apart from the 2 new Reggies, so Reggie Alecki and Reggie Draco. So electric and dragon type respectively.
Reggie Alecki is kind of a lame name.
Yeah, like there's
a lot of people are just like Reggie Volt, or, you know, heck, even just Reggie Alecki instead of like Reggie Alecki, or you know, just seems a bit lame.
What are you gonna do? Go and knock on Nintendo Treehouse and say, "Oi,
Treehouse,
what were you thinking?
Change the name."
Change the name. All right, so I think that's all of the Pokemon news, Bryce. I'm really looking forward to it. You're not, but we can move on.
No, well, I'm half off.
Half. Just like your order from Subway. I have a half, thanks, man.
Like, I enjoyed my time with Pokemon, and I think I've made that pretty clear before, but the biggest problem with Pokemon for me at the moment is whether, you know, they can sort of try to pick up the quality a bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think like that's on a lot of people's minds. Even if they did enjoy Pokemon, they thought it was fun, whatever it may be. There was not much quality control in Sword and Shield, and it doesn't feel like, you know, a lot of the time they were talking about, you know, trying to improve things and trying to make things better and all these Pokemon cut and stuff like that. I don't think people were ultimately satisfied.
Yeah, well, there's definitely issues there. Like the code for shiny rates in like wild encounters is just broken and it's never been patched.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like there's just things there where they put it out and they've obviously moved on to DLC, and after the 2 DLC packs, they'll be well on the way to the next Pokemon game. Like there's no sort of looking at the product and fixing things that they need to fix.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a serious issue, and you know, they would want to be putting in a lot of quality in these DLCs, and I think that's probably my main reason for holding off at the moment, is because, you know, if it's 2 hours worth of time and get nothing out of it, then I won't bother. I won't get my money.
Yeah, well, I think everyone's sort of hoping for like the patch that comes alongside the DLC. It would be like a big one which fixes some of these things.
Oh, and if it does, I'll buy it. But I'm not holding out hope.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Bryce. So next article comes from Nintendo Life, and it's just a bit of a summary on the Digital Foundry's verdict on the BioShock The Collection on Nintendo Switch. So the article reads, last week, for the first time ever, the BioShock series made its debut on a Nintendo platform. This remastered collection for Nintendo Switch includes BioShock, BioShock 2, and BioShock Infinite. So how does it compare to the existing versions on other platforms? Digital Foundry's Thomas Morgan recently had a look and found the only real compromise to the port is the frame rate, reducing the game from 60 to 30 FPS. This is a quote from Thomas. So where's the current generations, the current gen consoles get a presentation that targets 60 frames per second. Switch runs at 30 frames, effectively on par with the last generations at their best. In fact, in terms of overall consistency, Switch is significantly better. Performance locks to 30 frames almost permanently, only blighting by occasionally irregularities in frame pacing. On top of that, there are big improvements to image quality thanks to running at high resolutions. So when I sort of looked last week, there weren't many reviews in that for the Switch version, but seeing all this coming out, it makes me a bit more happy to sort of go and buy it, because I was looking at it on the eShop, and it's for the collection here in Australia. It's $90, which is pretty much out of the question for me. $90 is way too much. I know that's 3 games, and you'll probably get your money's worth out of it if you do buy it. But I'm not I got it for free on PlayStation, and
It was free on the Epic Store last week.
yeah, it's free. It's free on Epic Store. Like, you can get it literally for free, and if you actually buy it, you'll probably get it for like $20 max.
Yeah.
So getting it on Switch is kind of a hard sell, but at least it runs and it's a good port. So if you do buy it, it will be worth your money. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And BioShock's one of those games too. I need to play, because I bought it back when I had Xbox 360, but I had a non-HD TV, and reading the text, it just was not going to fly. I could not read the text. It was too small and too blurry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So next article comes from Nintendo Life, and the title is Minecraft Dungeons knocks Animal Crossing off the top of the eShop charts. So Minecraft is obviously an insanely popular game, so it's no surprise to hear Mojang's new spin-off Minecraft Dungeons is already selling incredibly well across multiple digital platforms. On the Nintendo front, it's taken top spot from Animal Crossing New Horizons on the Nintendo Switch eShop bestsellers list in the United States. As noted by Benji Sales, this brings an end to Tom Nook's 3 months of dominance, which began in March. So this is a quote from Benji Sales, and he says, Minecraft Dungeons has ended Animal Crossing's run as the best-selling game on the US eShop. Animal Crossing New Horizons has been number 1 since early March. That's 3 months of dominance. We are seeing on Xbox, Minecraft Dungeons is performing very strong and is now number 1 on Nintendo Switch. So this is a game I'm yet to actually jump into. I'm going to download it on Game Pass and see what it's about, because when it was announced at E3 last year, it was like, oh, this actually looks like quite a bit of fun. And I'm not a Minecraft guy really, so it kind of shows...
It's just Minecraft Diablo, like same Possum theory.
It'd be good too when I think they're going to introduce cross-platform, so that's going to make the game really cool too. You can just jump onto it anywhere, and be a good game to play on Switch.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So this is a bit bigger story, I guess. So this is I don't have a story for this, but earlier this week, BeatEmUps, a content creator over on YouTube, he posted a video called "I'll no longer be working with Nintendo. Here's why." And it's a half-an-hour video, so if you're interested in seeing it, I'll leave a link in the show notes to go and check out the full video from him explaining everything. But just a quick run-up of the video basically is that Nintendo sent him an email saying that he's no longer a part of the Nintendo Ambassador program in North America. And they gave him sort of no reason, and sort of like a back and forth after a while. He's still getting game codes from Nintendo America. He got the 2K games, he got Minecraft Dungeons, and he's going to continue to get codes by the seams of it. But
he's going to get all the benefits. He's just not being labeled as an ambassador.
Yeah. And it kind of brings up like the question, like, why? Why isn't he going to be like a part of it anymore? And the reasons he fought and a lot of other people sort of speculated on as well, as one reason is the last video he released was a modding video of Breath of the Wild, which you could see that Nintendo wouldn't be too impressed by that. But in sort of talking back and forward with Nintendo America, apparently that's not the reason, as what they've said. The other reason as well is that he often talks about mental health and is a big advocate for mental health, which is obviously a really good thing.
I don't think that'd be the reason at all.
Yeah, so
Completely honest.
So we'll talk about it, Bryce. So we'll start off, like, why do you think he might have lost the Nintendo ambassador status?
They said they after poking it around or whatever, they said it wasn't the reason, but I think modding Breath of the Wild probably was the pin in whatever was going on there. You know, it was the thing that made them go, all right, that's it. Yep, all right, whatever. To be honest, beyond that, I'm not really sure, but they, as mentioned again, you know, in the video, they're changing the ambassador program, and they've made that very clear, to him at least, you know, and I think it's more or less going to be it's him for now, and as far as he knows, as he's, you know, sort of put it out there, he's the only one that's been removed, and that's not 100% just yet. I would give it time for this new program to kick in and then see what happens there, because I have a feeling they're going to be doing a lot of weeding, because when they bring in a new program, they're going to want to put on as little amount of people as possible, or at least without harming their revenue, so that they can push forward, because he hasn't lost any of his benefits. He's just lost the title.
Yeah.
So that just tells me that they're still working with him. They just removed the ambassador status from him. So they're literally going to have that title and put it towards something else.
Yeah. Like it kind of shows you that they want to keep working with him and keep providing him code so he can keep making videos and that. Like, they obviously like him. They haven't just like cut off all ties and that. Like, there's a few other content creators where I know that they've just had all ties cut off from companies they were talking to, because whether they're just not liked or they've got more opinions that aren't liked by other people, whatever the reason. So Nintendo of America still obviously does like what BeatEmUps is doing on his channel. But I think like you say, the sort of the advocate, being an advocate for mental health doesn't come into it. I think it probably does. I think when Nintendo is looking at people to join their ambassador program, I think they're looking at people who are extremely like safe and squeaky clean and just put on a smile for their products and shine them in the best light. So when he's doing things that aren't focused on just games, and that he's talking about maybe problems with himself and problems in society, and you know, just bringing awareness, which is a fantastic thing just for his community and just the gaming community at large. I feel like a lot what, you know, Dane Peavy's doing with his podcast, just really like pushing that message out there and raising money and doing all that fun stuff. So I do think that would have a little bit about it. Even if it's nothing he's sort of done, they might look at it and say, like, he might do something. And I've got to ask you, like, I don't want to go too much in this, but like Etika, was he an ambassador, a brand ambassador at all for Nintendo?
No, he never applied for it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Because like he sort of came across as the type that was a brand ambassador just because of how his content just aligns so much with Nintendo. But
yeah, except for the fact that, you know, N-bombs every 2 minutes because he could.
Yeah, so yeah, not the family friendly.
He doesn't fit that category of what they want, and I don't think he's concerned about it. He just likes Nintendo stuff. As for, you know, being an advocate for mental health and stuff like that, and having a part in it that where you get removed from it, I think that's probably reading it too deep. I'd like to think we're in a world these days that is more receptive to mental health, and I think it's a very backwards way of thinking that might be the problem.
Oh, no, absolutely. But I'm just trying to think like what a marketing team would be sitting down and thinking. I'm not saying from my perspective, I'm like, oh no, this is too dangerous or whatever.
No, well, if anything, they would probably rather be working with people like that and helping, push their agenda. And as like Twitch does or whatever it may be, where people are having fundraisers and stuff like that, and Twitch promotes them and stuff like that, I would very much imagine that it'd be more likely the case that they would do something like that, because that brings them more revenue, far more revenue. In a day and age, where we're much more receptive to these problems, whether it be mental health, physical health, racial problems, gender equality, all that stuff. I think companies are starting to realize that, the new generations coming in, they're not grumpy old men sitting in a room talking about how their shoes weren't shined this morning or some shit, And I don't think it's that bad anymore. And I think Nintendo has a pretty good touch with a lot of creators that are on their side. So, people like the Completionist or whatever it may be, that probably have a far more interaction with them than what he's doing. So my take behind it, I suppose, is that what he says in the video is that the most help he gets from Nintendo is he gets invited to things sometimes, and that's like very rarely often, and they provide him with game codes. Now, you could say we're doing pretty much the same thing.
Almost, yeah.
We get game codes. Like they'll go,
rarely, yeah. But
if you would like to play a game, and then we go, yes, please, and then we might get a game code. And he said the same thing. He sometimes gets them. Doesn't always mean he is. Whereas what I think they're trying to do is they're trying to make a big spectacle of the ambassador program and have more stuff like what happened with MatPat or the Completionist or, Pro Jared, even though we don't mention his name anymore.
No.
Really? But those are all people that had direct interaction with people like Reggie and putting them in a very good spotlight, or Bill Trinan or whoever. And they actually did full-on collaboration videos. And they're still considered that, the ambassador. But what that tells me is BeatEmUps is not doing that kind of work with them. So they're trying to create a category for that. They're still offering him games and stuff like that because they still want him to play them, and people obviously, still watch him and stuff. But they don't want to categorize the people that they're calling ambassadors as just people that play their games. They want them to be like people that interact with the company more.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, you've only got to look at, the creators that have spent time with their corporate and, done whatever. MatPat had a few videos with Reggie, and there were full production videos, and then the Completionist had a challenge where he had to finish, I think it was A Link Between Worlds on the train on the train time that he spent getting to Nintendo HQ, and he lost, so he had to dress up in a Tingle costume.
That's great.
And sit with Bill Trinan on a couch. I think it is just shrinking, and they are changing it to make it a bit more of a thing. Especially I feel like with people like Doug Bowser, who is the new president of Nintendo, very clearly does not have as much as a social standing as Reggie did, because we all know Reggie was always out in the public all the time talking, and he still is. But Doug Bowser doesn't really do that. So I have a feeling that, a lot of the stuff we're going to see coming from this new ambassadors program is going to be a lot of hands-on to help push more personalities out that aren't just Reggie or, the old personalities like Shigeru and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like what it could have been is just he was, as big as he is, he was just sort of at the bottom of the list as far as like being interactive and that with them. So
I think that is probably the case.
Yeah.
I don't think it's personal. I think it's just they want to have a better definition of ambassador.
Yeah, and like they say they are making changes to their program, so that might be like, all right, we're going to make sure we bring every single one to our offices for the year, and we're going to do content and push like our games and all of that, and have to weed a few just to be able to So we don't have to make an excuse when we don't invite them or something. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because I know I was playing a bit of devil's advocate with the mental health thing, but that would have been extremely sad if that was the reason, because that's always a good message to get behind, and because a lot of Nintendo customers would be sort of battling with depression and sort of these mental health issues.
Yeah,
it's not limited just to anything else. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So yeah, as far as things goes though, but just with just the ambassador program and having to always, I guess, put like your best face on for their products. So like I know there's a lot of great content creators out there. There's like Rogers Base, Miss Click, and all of that. And I don't think they'll necessarily say that they like something that they don't, but it is something to keep in mind when creators are sort of labelled with this creators program. But yeah. I don't know how we would go if we were in North America and we could be a part of this program. Not that we would, just because we do a podcast. We don't even do YouTube, so it doesn't matter. So, but it's just a thing on top of credibility. I don't know.
Yeah. No, not too sure.
Not too sure. So, Bryce, for this next news story, I reckon we'll move into Reggie's Rec Room to wrap it up. What do you reckon?
All right, cool.
You gonna get on the escalator and move on in?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'll press the button. There we go.
Beep.
Hi, Nintendo fans. Reggie here.
Hey, Reggie.
Thank you for your never-ending support, for
You're
giving
welcome,
me
buddy.
a mushroom kingdom full of incredible memories that I will never forget. Ever.
Is refilled your Canadian club there, Bryce?
Reggie, it's looking a bit invisible liquid.
No.
Sorry, mate.
So,
You don't think you could whip down to the store for me, Reggie?
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually, Reggie. You go down to the bottle and we'll have this conversation, and we'll finish when you get back.
He's looking very grumpy. I think I saw a bit of a red glint in his eyes. I think we might be in trouble.
Oh shit!
Might not be Reggie. Might be the Reginator.
Oh no! Shit! Not the Reginator.
Oh dear.
That's the last thing we need to worry
Oh no!
about.
Yeah, we don't need that in this bar.
No, we don't.
Turn out like Pulp Fiction.
So I guess I got this idea for this topic just from I guess the PlayStation side of things. So in Australia, PlayStation was sued over its refund policy for its PlayStation Network, and we'll go through sort of the article regarding the Australian consumer watchdog and everything, and then we'll go into what Nintendo's is, because Nintendo's refund policy is non-existent, and that needs to change.
Yeah, big time. Before they get sued.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope
it'll happen here.
Yeah. So this, I've got this article from the Financial Times. So a bit different to what I usually pull up, but this is obviously a bit more of a serious article. So the title is Sony sued by Australian regulator over PlayStation refunds, and it's by Jamie Smith in Brisbane, and it was published end of May, so it's a week or so old now. But Australia's consumer watchdog is taking legal action against Sony Interactive Entertainment Europe, alleging it broke the law by telling consumers they could not get refunds for faulty PlayStation games. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission said on Wednesday that Sony made false and misleading representations to Australian consumers on its website and PlayStation Online store. Quote, from around September 2017, Sony Europe told consumers seeking a refund for faulty games that did not have to provide refunds for games that have been downloaded, or if 14 days had been passed since the physical purchase, the regulator said in a statement. Sony Europe is responsible for the terms of service that Australian consumers must agree to when creating a PlayStation account. One regulator alleged that Sony told gamers it did not have to provide refunds unless the game's developer, a separate entity to Sony, admitted the game was irreparably faulty. Sony had falsely claimed it had the right to provide refunds using the virtual PlayStation currency instead of cash, the ACCC said. That was a mouthful. The ACCC said. Quote, consumer guarantees do not expire after a digital product has been downloaded as we allege Sony Europe told consumers, and refunds must be given in the form of original payment unless a consumer chooses to receive it in store credit, said Rod Sims, ACCC chair. Quote, consumers who buy digital products online have exactly the same rights as they would in the physical store, end quote. The ACCC said Sony's misleading representations might have caused consumers not to seek a refund, replacement, or repair for a faulty game when they have the right to do so. It is seeking financial penalties, injunctions, and corrective action and costs in a suit filed in the Australian Federal Court. Quote, no matter where in the world a company has its headquarters, if it is selling to Australian consumers, the Australian consumer law applies, end quote, said Mr. Sims. Sony declined to comment on the matter. While analysis estimate Australia accounts for only a small percentage of Sony's global sales, a legal expert said the risk for Sony was that regulations in other markets would follow the lead of the ACC and begin its bad behaviour. Quote, the ACC is making a big push on consumer rights since the legal change last year in Australia aligned the penalties for breaches of consumer law with those of competition law breaches. So I'm going to skip that paragraph there just so we hurry it up a bit. In 2016, the British Consumer Goods Group was fined a record 6 million Australian by an Australian court for misleading consumers over pain-killing effects on Nurofen in a case brought by the ACC. The Australian case prompted by a probe in the UK advertising watchdog over... what's that? It's all good. Yep. You just pointed to the SD card's full, but the computer's still going.
That's all good. I'm just making sure.
By its painstaking abilities in a landmark ruling that had implications for the industry. And so let's just... We got the information we need from the article. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Financial Times.
Took ages.
It did. But basically what Sony was offering is if you wanted a refund, you got refunded in PlayStation Store credits.
Which is bullshit.
Which is bullshit. You didn't get it back in cash, which is no good. But on the Nintendo side of things, on Nintendo eShop, in all countries, not only can you not get it back in cash, you can't get it back at all. There is no refund policy at all. So just from checking out Nintendo's online store, if you say, all right, how do I get a refund? They basically say, this is a quote from Nintendo's site. So we do not need to provide a credit, refund, or exchange in cases such as a change of mind, accidental purchase, or because you simply didn't like the game. But in case of any encouragement, in any case, we encourage you to contact us if you have any concerns of your purchase from Nintendo eShop in Japan or New Zealand. But they don't have just an easy way to refund. Like Sony, part of Sony getting sued was just the fact that they made it hard enough. A lot of people just wouldn't bother. So Nintendo makes it extremely hard to do it in the first place. Mm-hmm. So like it's always been one of those things that's just not on. But after seeing Sony being sued by the ACC, I think it's time Nintendo actually helped its consumers and let them get a refund, because like, to be fair, I haven't tried to get a refund that often on the eShop. Probably the only time I actually really looked into it was because I pre-ordered Let's Go Pikachu, and Nintendo of Australia was actually kind enough to provide us a code, a physical edition, and I'm like, oh well, I'll get a refund and I'll just play my box copy. But there was no way of getting a refund, so I just played it digital, which was fair enough, which was fine with me because I was happy just to play digital copy and not have to swap around game cards and that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too bothered about it. But if you pre-order a game and it turns out to be busted or broken, or you just like, if you just change your mind, you probably should do more research before you're just, I don't want it anymore. That's sort of on you. But if a game is broken and it's just not fun or not good, you should have the right to be able to refund it.
Absolutely.
A week after.
Yeah, especially if it's like an $80 purchase.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a court case battle had just similarly won a couple of weeks ago, and that was EB Games. EB Games denied the right for a refund on Fallout 76 for about 3 years, and they've just lost that court case, and now they have to give everybody that wants a refund on Fallout 76 a refund.
I don't know how they got away with that. They are a physical retail store.
They have to. Yeah.
There's no workarounds there.
I think they just stopped taking them. And I remember when it happened, they literally just stopped taking refunds on them.
Yeah.
But that's also because a lot of people were demanding refunds from Bethesda, which never went through. They got a special edition with not what was promised. And then they got compensated very poorly in regards to that. Anything to avoid as much refunds as possible. But then EB Games must have put in a bit of money towards Fallout 76, not knowing what they were getting into. And they got a lot of copies and sold a lot of copies. And then a lot of people were like, this game is shit. So they went and took it back, but then everybody started taking it back at once and all right, we can't process all these refunds. We're not refunding it anymore. And that's not fair. So what does that mean? The first 100 people got their refund, and then after 101, they took that little red rope flag thing that they keep out front of clubs, and they're like, "Sorry, sir, no more refunds." Fuck off.
Yeah, it's just not on. And at least PlayStation's refund policy wasn't even necessarily that bad. At least you could get your money back and spend it on another pre-order.
Yeah, but
I know it's not great, but Nintendo doesn't even offer that.
No, they don't. They don't. And I'm not saying that's...
Yeah. And when you search for it and you go to their site, it's just no, we don't do refunds, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
Which is just not on.
Yeah, the reason it is bullshit is because Steam got in trouble for the same thing. They were the big instigator to this whole discussion, in that you purchase a digital product for almost as much as a physical product in most cases. Especially if it's brand new, it's pretty much the same price on anything you buy. It doesn't matter if it's PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Switch, whatever you buy. But you are paying the same amount as you would a physical product. But the difference is you can refund that physical product. You can't do it on the digital one because the company doesn't offer refunds. And in my opinion, that's more or less lazy than anything. It's the reason, a very good reason why I still buy a lot of my games physical, even though I'm using a portable console to play them, is because I know at least down 10 years' time, if they ever decide to shut down the Nintendo network, I'll still have access to all my games.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, which, how are you going to save that?
Don't know. I'm going to have to back up SD cards and, do all that bullshit,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So in the end, it's probably going to cost you more anyway.
Yeah.
But I like to buy as much as I can physical, and there's even games that I have digital where I'm like, I really should go pick up a physical copy of that before they disappear. Like Smash Bros, for example. That's a big one. Because the Switch is something I want to have a consistent collection of before it goes out, and I want to keep that physical collection. Because it's been a hell of a console with a lot of good games, and it's one of those things I want to keep around. But the fact that you can't just as much as hit a button and say, right, I want to refund this game. Sure, have a bit of a baseline price, right? Where you're 14 days or a month, 14 days to a month, or maybe 30 hours worth of game time, or something along the lines of that. Because at least then, if you've played 30 hours worth of game time, you've gotten your money out of it.
I think so, yeah.
No way in hell, have you not played that game? You're just going, I don't want it anymore. You've definitely played it long enough. And in some cases, maybe you might need to adjust that for something that's maybe an indie game, maybe 5 hours or whatever it may be, if you've played this game for 5 hours. And that's fair enough. And that's how it should be done. Because at least, if they've played 30 hours, then they're just con artists and they don't really have any legal standing because they got the time that they wanted out of that game. That's what they paid for. They paid for that entertainment. Done.
It is a hard thing to get right. If you're playing Xenoblade and you're 5 hours in, that's probably the amount of time you might need to be all right, this this isn't living up to what I thought it was. Whereas if you're playing like Gone Home, you're going to be finished that game in 40 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is sort of a hard balance to get right. How they do it, whether they do it just like, you can't open the game whatsoever if you want a refund, even if it's like that baseline. I don't think that's enough. But at least there is that buffer to being like, oh, the reviews came out and it looks awful. I think the main thing that comes up is the Outer Worlds port that recently come out. Like that game was up for pre-order for months and months and months. There was no screenshots, no video, and that's usually a pretty obvious thing, but it's not going to turn out very good if they're not publicizing it very much.
Very obvious indicator.
But they're asking for $90 for that game, which is. That is too much.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's too much for any game, I feel like. I feel like $80 is the point where it's like, that's the point.
When you can pick up Game Pass Ultimate for a month, and that's $15, and you can play a whole library of games if you really want to. And that is including Outer Worlds, I'm pretty sure, is it not?
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. Yeah. But like, we're talking to a Nintendo audience that might not have an Xbox, but yeah. But like you pre-order that game and it comes out how that port came out, where you're literally like walking between areas and it stops and buffers like a YouTube video to load up, and like the textures take about a minute to load as you're already like going through the level. Like you can blame Nintendo, you can blame the Switch, you can blame the developers, whether they should have even tried to put it on Switch. It looks like maybe they shouldn't. Because of that's a pretty it's a brand new game that's running on Xbox One X and PlayStation 4 Pro. It's probably not a great suit for it. When they announced it, it's kind of like, yeah, if they can do it, sure, but obviously it didn't turn out. They couldn't. But I think like games like that is where the refund policy needs to come in. Because I remember Resistance Burning Skies on PlayStation Vita. That game actually looks pretty good in previews and that, and it looked pretty good. So I pre-ordered that at EB Games. And I picked it up and reviews came out. It was absolutely terrible. I played through it and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty ordinary. Like the whole game, I beat it in like 3 hours. Like it wasn't very long. It wasn't very good. So, 7 days, whatever, I was able to take it back and get my money back.
Yeah,
and
that's right, yeah.
Like sometimes you need that buffer. And for Nintendo, I feel like it would be a good thing for them because it'll have people more confident to spend their money on pre-orders and all of this that they're asking for. Because like at the moment they're asking for a pre-order for Paper Mario, and I'm sure that's going to be pretty good, but we don't know if it's going to turn out like the other ones, the last two or whatever. So maybe
I'm hoping not.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping not as well. But maybe if they had a better refund policy, we'll be able to buy. Oh, I'll put my $80, and if I don't like it, or if it comes out like, oh, this is kind of like the other ones, it's very underwhelming. I was like, well. Would like a refund, please.
And that is probably the most correct statement in all of this, is that by not having a refund policy, they are inadvertently pushing people away from laying down a pre-order. And you know what? You would get a hell of a lot more pre-orders if you had that safety net security. And by extension, you would also probably have a lot more sales. Because people would be more willing to put down that $80 in advance and say, all right, well, I've put the money down. Now I know I'm getting it. And I can refund it later if it's crap. But you'll find that a lot of people take a lot of their opinions from people who have already played the game on the internet. So if people have put down their pre-order and then these reviews come out early, if people get the codes in and they're like, oh, it's not very good. And then like, oh, well, that sucks. It's like, well, okay, well, maybe I'll give it a crack anyway because I've already friggin' bought the game. I've been waiting this long. I might as well play it. And they'll probably find they like it. So inadvertently, in a way, they are losing money. Like, pretty bad.
Yeah.
But they are also going to lose more money through the courts.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like thinking about it more. I think it should just be like you can get a refund if you haven't opened the game before. Because if you're playing through a game, say you buy a Pokemon, it's like, oh, I'll try this Pokemon thing, and like you figure out you don't like turn-based battle mechanics. I don't think that's worth a refund. It's like, all right, just because you didn't do the research into it, that's probably not why. But if it turns out that it's just broken, and like it is a game that you would like, but it just won't work like it's advertised, then that should be refundable.
Well, Steam's refund policy is pretty simple. You either own the game for a few weeks or you've played over 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right? And if you want that money back redeposited to your bank account, I'm pretty sure you can get it done. And that is the biggest problem with the Australian courts, is that you can't get that money back. And I think that's fair to a degree, because at the end of the day, a lot of people put on money on their digital accounts to buy something that it's not just sitting there waiting to be used, because that's dead money until you actually find something you want.
Yeah, because Sony just putting it as digital credit back to their account, that is pretty much nothing to them. They're still going to get that money regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas if you get it put back to your account, you can like use it to pay your bills and that, but you're like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have bought that video game. Or
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like everybody makes that kind of mistake, right? You know, somebody might go on eBay and they might accidentally order 700 rubber ducks
Yeah, all the time.
instead of 70. Yeah,
it's
right?
bullshit.
And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh crap, I've just spent 10 times the amount of money I was supposed to. It's like, I really need to cancel that order. You can go and be like, I did not mean to order 700 ducks. I am really sorry. Can I have my money back? And they'll be like, okay, we'll help you correct that order. It's the same concept, right? Like, sometimes people don't think too far ahead, or somebody's left something in their cart that they were considering, or the kids accidentally put in there.
And that's right.
They've bought it and spent an extra $80. It's just like, well, shit.
Like if
I'm stuck with this.
If you're buying V-Bucks over the eShop, like just they say if you have any concerns, you can contact Nintendo Australia or New Zealand, but that is a lot of hoops to jump through to do it. It's not like Apple or whatever where it just has a number or email to just go straight to it.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
there's a lot of hoops to go through just for basic stuff. Mm-hmm. So pull your fucking head in, Nintendo, for God's sakes.
Look,
Put a good refund policy on for the
Yeah.
consumers.
well, look, they need to consider it, and they need to consider it soon, because that'll be where the hammer goes next. I can guarantee it.
I'm surprised it hasn't already. Like, you know, they've had this policy forever on their eShop. Like, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, well, as in recent years, the ACCC is cracking down a hell of a lot more. So, you know, they probably went for the bigger targets first, that being, you know, Steam and PlayStation, which are, yes, the bigger targets by sales-wise, and then Nintendo following. So,
Yeah. Because I believe Xbox has quite a good one as well. I think theirs is pretty up to snuff. With refunds.
yeah, they've never been too much of a problem.
Yeah, not that I've tried to get a refund over there, but
No, back in the Xbox 360 days, I remember them being pretty alright with refunds.
yeah, giving you back your Microsoft points if you don't want.
Oh, just reverting it in general, because it's all, you know, they have a pretty good support line anyway, because obviously Microsoft owns more than just Xbox. They've got Windows, and how many people call them for Windows every day. So it's kind of, you know, just in their nature to have a better support line. They've had it since 1990, you know.
Yeah.
So I think they're very well aware of refund policies and how they work and what you have to be mindful of, and they've never really had a problem with that kind of thing. So, yeah, I don't think they'll ever land in trouble, but Nintendo definitely will.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see some change relatively soon.
Pray.
Pray. Yeah. Otherwise, we'll be reading in the news how Nintendo got sued.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Bryce, before we wrap up, anything you'd like to bring up on the show, or you reckon we're done?
I think I'm pretty good this week. It's been a slow. It's still sort of a slow burn until Pokemon and Smash DLCs hit. As we mentioned last week, it was pretty cruisy for most of that week too. And hopefully some more news soon. Like I want like a direct or something.
It's pretty much the week of that E3 would be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So-
I want a direct soon. I want something, because it feels empty. Like, it doesn't even feel like it's the week of E3.
Yeah, I
pretty
know.
much,
Yeah.
and that's sad to say, because
It
how
is.
much that's been part of our viewing pleasure for the last 7 years. We've done that every year, except for the 1 year you went on vacation. So it's a bit strange, and I'll be sad if we don't get anything around this time.
Yeah, it sounds like we're not, but
PlayStation sort of put out there that they were going to do a reveal around this time, but because of Black Lives Matter and everything, and that they delayed that, which is absolutely fair. But in terms of hopefully as things sort of come to more of a resolution, hopefully, and not continue as they are, and whatever it may be. Hopefully they win that battle sooner rather than later. Is my point. And then when things get back to normal, we'll have something, and that would be nice. But again, like you said earlier, you put it very eloquently. Having that kind of stuff can take the voice away from that kind of movement, and it's important that that movement stays strong. So I'm 100% in favor of just, letting it go, and I can wait out, but I would like to hear something soon.
Yeah, just for our entertainment and viewing pleasure.
Absolutely.
So, everybody, thank you very much for listening to the House of Mario episode 145. If you enjoy the show, you're more than welcome to go over the Apple Podcast, leave us a review. Remember, Canada, we are relying on you. Go and leave us a review.
That's right.
Get us some Canadian iTunes reviews. Shaking your Canadian club.
It's the sound of your borders, Canada. They're calling you.
And you can also share the show on social media and all that with all your friends. Facebook groups, like our good friend Daniel did, and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a link, invite to the House of Mario Discord.
Yeah, that's right.
As well. So yeah, Bryce, where can they follow you on Twitter, my friend?
At @IVEvan.
And you can follow me at iDruby and the show at the House of Mario. And this week's Nintendo Jukebox is by Family Jewels, which
Family Jewels, baby.
which a lot of you guys, if you're looking at video game music remixes and all that,
you've typically seen Jules.
You'll see Jules on YouTube, and that does really cool music. Yeah, fantastic. So he's done a cover of a song from Xenoblade Chronicles. You will know our names. So it's
Very
basically
popular song.
Yeah, is it just the main battle theme? Is that what
it's the boss battle theme?
Boss battle theme. Yep.
Well, high rank monster battle theme. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Until next week, the doors to the House of Mario are closed. Catch you later. See ya, Bryce.
Bye, man.